think it's a... This is Beautiful Things by Benson Boone.
For a while there it was rough, but lately I've been doing better.
He likes
Then the
it.
last fall cold Decembers.
Do you want to dance?
And I see my family every month. I found a girl.
He's got good balance.
He likes being on 2 feet.
Come and stay the night. And
Probably because he remembers being human from a past life. This is just going to be a regular thing. That's totally fine. Let's start with an introduction on how we got to know each other.
Okay.
So we grew up in the same city.
We did.
And then high school, we went to the same place.
Yes. And elementary school.
And then now we're living in the same city in Florida.
Quite literally, like you're living right next to my job, which
It's
is
very
so
funny.
random.
Yeah. That is bizarre how this all happened. But that's why I had to interview you today.
Yeah.
And highlight who you are, your creativity, the things you focus on in life, and the different lens that you look through different, like beauty, and how you style beauty through hair, and different things like that. So when I mention all of those things, what comes to mind first? From your journey to get from growing up with me to now, where does that take you?
I think there's a lot of steps along the way. I think the whole aspect of beauty is someone's own personal thought of it to them. I think it's customizable to each person. I think something I've learned is it all surrounds the fact of confidence and finding confidence of yourself, because let's say you can have a real bad, rough looking day, but if you have the confidence, you're gonna feel beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a huge journey that not only I've been on, but what I try to give others, and I kind of found my full circle moment of that.
As a man, it's hard to use that word. For a lot of my life, I've struggled to find beauty and to use that word. I might recognize something as unique, but never thought to use that word to describe it. But now I'm in a place where I'm okay with that. And I think you mentioned that word confidence. It's so important to develop your version of confidence and your version of beauty, because only you can choose what those things are. And could you talk more about your version of beauty and what that means through like hair and how you've used that as your paintbrush?
Definitely.
To mold that?
So I started when I was in high school, finding like my niche of what I wanted to do. I think I always felt not out of place, but maybe out of place of, I knew I didn't want to do the norm. And kind of being around a lot of people who wanted to do very high successful jobs, like on paper, I was like, okay, none of this is interesting to me. And I found my passion through like creativity. I've always been super creative through like baking as a kid. And then going to school, we had very strict rules. I kind of found a passion through makeup artistry, because I'm like, oh, let me like see what I can and can't do. And that led me to doing makeup, and then special effects makeup. And then kind of long story short, I'm sure we'll get into it too, COVID happened, and then I found hair.
Yeah.
So it's all a big surrounding aspect of, I found my outlet of creativity, and then I kind of just kept building upon that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you mentioned COVID.
Yes.
That was a big springboard for you in deciding beauty. Could you speak more about like a defining moment in all of that?
Yeah.
Where you
So
chose?
I moved down here, I kind of just left.
Yeah.
I finished high school, and 2 weeks later I came down here early. I was just like, I didn't have anything there for me.
Yeah.
And I moved down here. My goal from high school, probably sophomore year till COVID, was I want to move to California and go to makeup school. I feel like if like you knew me back then, you knew I was doing makeup. And that is all I wanted. For years, I have the most incredible parents. They helped me go to California every summer. I would do camps there. So I would do a week camp learning special effects makeup, because in Indiana, that's not a thing people do.
Yeah.
I had one mentor who's amazing, and she mentored me in that, and I also interned at her hair salon in high school. So I had that little in the back of my head.
That's
had
awesome.
That. But it was,
And you got on a short film, I noticed.
I did.
Loop
Doing
back-
special
yeah,
effects
please,
makeup.
please.
So I thought it was so cool. I was like, I'm doing special effects makeup, and now it's like a little party trick of mine, I feel like. But it's all I wanted to do, and I thought it was neat because it was something no one else was doing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I felt out of place because I was like, no one else is doing this. And it was such a big passion of mine to build and just learn. But how do you learn something when you don't have someone to teach you?
Yeah.
And all I could look forward to was getting out of Indiana to go do this. And at 17, 18, when I was like, okay, I'm ready to go to schools, ready to apply to colleges, I applied to 2 colleges, none in Indiana. One was like I didn't want to go there, I just did it. The other was Valencia, that was down here. I didn't apply to any schools because I was like, I didn't want to do that. My goal was going to California, and I agreed with my parents. They're like, we want you to get your associates. So I moved down here, did that. Still throughout doing that, I would do makeup and just practice on like my Instagram and my YouTube. And COVID happened. Was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? COVID, right when that started, I graduated with my AA. So right as COVID happened, I was about to move to California. So my entire life, like 6 years where I knew exactly what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be, I was ready to go there, and then the world shut down.
Yeah.
And then in that moment too, I'm a very big family person. Like, I think a lot of growing up, we see things certain ways. It's like you go to college, you get married, you have kids. That is how it is kind of up there, and that is amazing. That's always kind of what I thought I wanted. But then moving down here, like my life expanded in different ways where that may not be the path for me.
Yeah.
And I realized in that industry, doing movie makeup and special effects makeup, it is the best creative industry, but you kind of sacrifice some things. So I had a quarter life crisis, I call it. Decided not to go to makeup school last minute because the world was shut down. I didn't want to move to California alone, and went to cosmetology school. Still throughout cosmetology school, had a hard time finding my passion of hair until I found the salon, where we're departmentalized, so I only focus in color, and I was able to kind of find my niche of creating it that way.
For me, a man who has never worn makeup, can you speak to the new viewer for a second and break down the different, like you mentioned cosmetology.
Yes.
What are the different like sectors of beauty? Explain this to me as a new person interested in the whole variety of beauty.
Okay. So what I wanted to go to school for, like makeup artistry and special effects, that is a certificate program. So you're just saying, okay, cool, you know how to do this. You were trained by so-and-so. They may not be super reputable, but you were trained.
And it's mainly a film industry focused kind of thing.
Depending on where you're going, yes. You can take one-off courses.
Sure.
But where I
it's a
wanted to
certificate.
go, yes, it's all a certificate. So that's not a upstanding, hey, you have a job, give me a diploma certificate. Anyone can get a certificate. Cosmetology school surrounds everything, and it's a license. So cosmetology school, I can do makeup artistry, I can do some skincare stuff, like within reason, and I can do hair. Cool. Esthetician is also in that realm, and that is just skincare. Okay. Yes, so your sister can do skincare, but you can't do chemical hair stuff.
Got you.
I think, I may be wrong. But that was also an aspect. My parents, my mom especially, before I moved down here, we toured the beauty school I went to, and I was like, no, I don't want to do this. It's not makeup.
What a cool change.
I know. So I was like, that girl always knew. But doing hair, I got a license. Makeup artistry, I don't have a license. I have a certificate.
What is your like client intake process? How do you do? I'm keeping that in this. How do you, when someone walks in and they don't necessarily know what they need help with, how do you approach a newcomer in this?
So that is all, I feel like, it's a big thing of confidence. So we kind of talked about confidence at the beginning, and it is everything. I'm an introverted extrovert. So I'm to myself. I can be alone with my dog and happy as a clam. But you're in an extroverted job, so you got to pull it all out of you.
You got to do one of these most of the time.
Sometimes
until you go in the closet and you're like,
literally, I will go home and I'm just like sitting down and I can't move. I love my job like no other though. So I have a very extroverted job, but I'm an introvert, and
it's cool. You know where to act.
Yes. So it's not in a bad way of saying that, but you're putting on a show, you're performing. But that's what you do. Like that, it's not in a bad way me saying that.
I'm performing
that's the job.
Right now.
Yes, exactly. So when someone comes in, you have to be comfortable saying, okay, this person is trusting you with what they get confidence on. So you have to be confident to tell them this is what you need. A big thing is over time, you learn how to talk about it. You learn the different outcomes and options to give them. But you stand your ground. Cool. I have people my parents' age, my grandparents' age, I'm doing their hair. And they ask me how old I am, and I'm like, oh, I'm 25. And you can kind of see in their eyes, they're like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
but
no.
So if you don't give that confidence and you act like you know what you're doing, then they're not going to trust you. So you learn real quick. You got to know how to talk.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
It's a learned skill for sure.
Definitely.
I think we were around a lot of diverse crowds as we got older. I mean, we grew up in a very small bubble, but you know, you and me both found our separate ways to find knowledge and how to learn more and how to get into different pools, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
It says a lot about us. But all right, I have a very funny and awkward exercise for us.
Okay.
I've never worn makeup. What's the first thing you would tell me to wear if I were to put makeup on?
Okay. Do you feel like you want to
I'm not actually going to do this.
No,
I just think it's fun. I want to see your skill at play.
What men will do often is they'll do gels, like so brow gels. So
what's
brow
that word?
gels.
Jaws?
Gels.
Gels.
So it's like you have a hair gel, you have a brow gel. You can have a beard gel even if you want, and it tames it down. Also, men, let's say you have a little redness or you have a blemish,
I have
conceal
redness.
it. So you can get a powder that is just your skin tone, even lighter, and it's just a sheer tint to tone that down.
Gotcha.
And I think that's something. It's also like men are like, no, I'm not wearing makeup. It's you have a big work event you want to go to, and you're like, I would be more confident if I had this. Who cares if you have makeup on? It's not like you're changing yourself. You're bringing confidence to you. You're not changing how you look. You're you're adding. So if you need any makeup recommendations, my Instagram is beautifully Kate. Let me know. Okay.
That's awesome.
Sidebar.
Two quotes I'm going to bring up from your LinkedIn. Unwavering commitment to make others feel confident and beautiful.
I have a huge passion of giving that to others. I think growing up, I had a hard time finding myself and giving confidence. Confidence in something I don't think I really fully learned until this last year. And there's like multiple moments in my head that I like always think about a lot where I'm like, I didn't have confidence then. How do I change that? You come to work every day and I have a job where I want to give confidence to others. So like I said, you have to give that out. So like my favorite thing about my job is seeing someone light up because of how beautiful they feel. I had a client today and she's a mom. She hasn't had her hair done like a year, roots grown out, but she wants that confidence. She wants to feel beautiful for her kid's first birthday. You do her hair and she's like, I feel fantastic. First time I met her and she's like, follows me on Instagram, like she's happy.
And her whole demeanor's changing. She's probably like, just calm down afterwards.
And it's not something that just changes their day. It changes their, not like life, but like for their next few months.
Yeah.
And it just brings smile to their face. And like, that is my favorite thing about my job, just making others feel good. Like, it's not about me when I walk in the door. That is another hard thing about this job. It's not about you when you walk in the door. You have a bad day. You go through a hard relationship aspect. You go through one time I had a dog pass away and I was an assistant here, but you have hard things that go on in your life. When you show up to work, it is not about you.
Yeah.
Your clients, you build relationships with them and then you can talk about things, and that is the most special type of relationship because it's like you have a friend coming in. I get so excited for those clients.
That's sweet.
But it's about someone else, and it's like you want to give that person that happiness and confidence that you wish someone else gave you.
So you love working here?
I love it, yeah. I have a huge passion in like specializing. I think every single career you specialize in something, and this type of salon is different because we do color or style. I never like braiding hair, cutting hair, or styling hair. Like I couldn't braid hair. That was my thing. I can't be a hairstylist. I can't braid hair.
Gotcha.
That doesn't matter.
That's a rule.
You can learn how to braid hair.
That's funny.
But when I was doing cosmetology school, I was just like, I was always scared to burn someone with a blow dryer, and it's just like it didn't. Not that it didn't come natural to me, it just wasn't something I loved doing.
Yeah.
When I was done with school, I worked somewhere else for a little bit. It wasn't a great environment.
Yeah.
And then I found this salon and my boss was like, hey, you'd either do cut or style. And I was like, what do you mean? And I think it's fantastic because we have a whole assistant program here. And throughout the assistant program, you do color or style. You're trained in that thing. So in 2 years I was an assistant here, I just did color. So by the time I finished that program where someone may be doing color and cutting, I only did color, so I can be fantastic at this. And that haircut person who's doing style can be fantastic at a haircut. Whereas if you're doing it all together, you're gonna be good at both.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be harder to kind of niche down. I compare myself to a brain surgeon and a heart surgeon a lot, you know?
That's funny.
Why not? Basically have the same amount of education.
I had a podcaster compare himself to LeBron the other day.
Okay,
So
basically.
But there's a subliminal message in all of that. I think
like,
as creatives, we do so much and we wear so many hats.
Yes.
And it's important to like find your reality in all of this, regardless of how silly it sounds out loud.
So it's like you find your niche.
Yeah.
And you find what you like doing, and it's why not specialize in what you want to specialize in? Because that client is going to get the best result at the end of the day.
That's important. Yeah, some of the jobs I've worked throughout my time, I've had to cross-train. And the way I've projected myself at different points in my life, I've, expended a lot of energy in a lot of different pools and given a low percentage of quality to each of those.
Yeah.
So when you talk about specializing, I think that's a very good way to approach your work. So that when someone walks in and they need a haircut and coloring, they know the two people to go to because they both devoted a lot of training to it.
Yeah, and it's
So
for
that's
career
huge.
longevity too. This is not an easy career. I'm on my feet, I'll be on my feet sometimes 10 hours a day. I start really early, and then I'll finish sometimes because I do come in earlier. I can finish a lot later sometimes. So I can be 8:30 to 6:30 some days. You are running around. So it's good that you're not stressing your body on all these other things because you want to do this for as long as possible. So there's a lot of little reasons why it's fantastic.
Good thing we're sitting right now.
I know, I'm like.
You have an array of experiences.
Yeah.
You started as an ice cream scooper. You've
fun
worked
to
at
work in.
Disney.
Yeah, which I will say, I think a lot of people think I moved down here to work at Disney, and I did not.
Gotcha.
I feel like I need to put that in. I came down here because my parents had a place down here, and
It made sense.
yeah, it did.
That's cool.
Working at Disney, I was able to put it on an internship for college.
Nice.
So I was like, people would literally ask me, they're like, oh, you're still working at Disney? And I'm like, no. I worked there for like 2 months. But yeah.
So you talk about like a confidence tool belt and lots of different types of experiences. What comes to mind when you think of your confidence and like this outward strong version of it you have today?
Yeah.
You mentioned it was difficult to get. What do you think of like different little stepping stones along the way that could help someone who's less confident?
Yeah, I think kind of just, I don't know, you learn over time. I think I was in a spot when I lived in Indiana that I felt out of place, and I think it was a fantastic place to grow up and be raised. But with me knowing I didn't want to do anything that was really shining there, that kind of made me feel like, okay, well, I feel kind of tucked in a corner a little bit. And then just life experience. And then I think the job really helped I want to be able to give this to someone, so I got to find it. And through hardships, you can either, in my opinion, you can look at like a hard event in one of two ways. You can look at it and be like, wow, this bad thing happened to me. I'm going to let it have negative effects on me. Or this bad thing happened to me, let me grow from it and kind of
Who can I help?
expand 100%. And I
Who
think,
needs to hear this message now?
yeah, and like projecting yourself in that way kind of helps shape you and give you confidence to say that. And I think that's a term we keep using a lot, but really that's what this job is. It's like you have to be confident to give it to someone else, and you have to know yourself, honestly. Yeah.
So in a beauty parlor like this,
Yeah.
I mean, people can tend to be superficial. You talk about looks a lot of the time. Do you have anything else you want to add to the whole circle of beauty that could help a listener and like think of it in a different way? Because a lot of people focus on Instagram,
100%.
I would imagine. And I know you put a lot of time into your Instagram. Is there any way you want to change that stigma against beauty or different things like that? Do you kind of get what I'm getting at?
I think it's a way to unleash creativity.
Sure.
So it's your personality.
Yeah.
I have clients that come in, one of my really fun clients, I don't do a lot of fashion color, but I like doing it to have my way I do hair and then fashion color on top. She's a lived-in balayage, which is this kind of type of a highlight, pretty much. And
Thank you for elaborating.
And then I do hot pink right on top of her. So a normal person would be like, wow, she's probably crazy. She has a lot of crazy hair. she is so fun because she's showing who she is.
Yeah.
It's not a superficial, yeah, you may have someone who cares a little more about their looks, but who cares?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like what someone else is doing, why is that an issue to you? So it's, if someone else wants to spend money on their hair, get extensions, do a very high maintenance color, fantastic, because that's what makes them happy.
Yeah.
If I have clients I have a lot of clients I see once every 6 months, and they are so happy about that. And it's not that they're superficial, they're taking photos and posting on social media, I just got my hair done. They're so happy. And yeah, there are times where people are trying to show off, but like, who cares?
I know.
I think it is a very stereotypical thing, but at the end of the day, it's something where it's like, who cares? If someone wants to do that, they want to do that. Yeah.
I have a totally different view of social media now that I've started participating more. And we talked about that a little bit earlier, but it's so fun to join this world of something that I used to judge for so long, and like actually start pressing the publish button and then realize like, oh, each of these people that I originally judged, they're all trying to say something. It's not necessarily what I preconceived.
Yeah.
That's kind of a beautiful transition.
It is. And I think, like, for me, you brought up LinkedIn. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even use LinkedIn. My social media is my resume. So that's how I connect to people.
That's huge.
So I may post a video where someone's like, okay, Caitlin's posting again, or posting another story.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, my clients need to see that.
I need to keep people updated.
That's how
huge.
I get so many of my clients, and that's how a lot of people will connect with me. Someone will come in my chair, see me that I've never seen before, and they get excited because they think they know who I am. They see my personality, and like they get to like meet you, and they're looking forward to this. I think the hard thing about going to like a hair salon after working here, and I think there's can be with some other jobs too, you forget how special it is. And like getting my hair done when I was a kid, like if I was lucky, like once every 6 months, I'm like, Mom, can I please get my hair done? And you would get so excited for it. Now I'm here every day, so I forget that. But when someone comes in, they get so excited, and it's like, you get to give that to them. And they could have found you on social media.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
You're part of the magic. We've talked about confidence like 4 different times.
Yes.
I want to hear, is there anything I'm missing from your story that you want to talk about to new listeners or different things like that, that could get, I don't know, an inspiration out of them or different things like that. So I just want to open the floor to you and see like from your story how you could, if I missed on anything.
Yeah, I think a big thing that I think people should take out of is not being scared to try something, even if it's out of the norm.
Sure.
I think that's how you find your best passion and like what sparks your interest. And you can either do it as a hobby or you do it as a career, and you find kind of your life from that a little bit.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then I'll go ahead and ask, like, do you have a book recommendation for any listeners, or is there anything you want to talk about there?
So when I was watching your other video with Wyatt, you asked this, and I was like, I really hope he doesn't ask me about books because, you know,
it can be movies too, whatever media you like to consume.
I thought about this because I was currently watching
and I read a book in the time.
Literally, I was like, I tried reading a book, and I have a hard time sitting down because I feel like I need to be doing something.
Yeah, well,
like,
that's how my brain is too.
Yeah, I'm just like, I can't sit down. I feel like I'm being too lazy. So I recently watched a very good Netflix documentary. I love a good documentary.
Cool.
And it's the Osama bin Laden documentary.
Really? I was not expecting that.
So bad.
That's funny.
So bad.
So what'd you learn?
It is so good.
Yeah.
I think this is also going to sound bad. I've probably seen a few 9/11 documentaries because I love learning about history.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not a big book person in school. I got good grades in school, but I'm just like, I did it because I like felt anxiety if I didn't get good grades. But I like learning about things in that way because it's like they're putting a performance on. They're highlighting all the good parts.
Yeah.
But I think it was cool because you saw the new technology. And they had different people's perspectives, and just the way they put it on was really good. Also, the new Lilo and Stitch movie is really good.
I almost watched that.
I saw it last night.
Movie
theater by my house is $5.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. I put my Lightning McQueen Crocs on.
I ask everyone this question. It's, how do you want to inspire the newcomer who's considering like being more creative?
Yeah. And
you mentioned beauty, you mentioned confidence. How can you inspire a new listener who doesn't know what to do with their life and may consider this profession? So just kind of speak from the heart for a little bit.
I think the first thing you need to do is take that step.
Yeah.
And I think it's the scariest step. I remember when I decided not to go to California and do makeup school, I felt like I was failing because that is all I wanted to do for years. I still think about them, like, what if I did this? But what if I didn't make that step to do what I'm doing now?
Yeah.
I went back to California recently. I've been doing a lot of education stuff. And going back there was the first time since I went in high school, and I was like, I couldn't see myself here. Like, I knew I made the right decision.
Yeah.
And someone starting off wanting to, let's say, go to cosmetology school, wanting what you're doing, moving down here and going to school again, it's scary. But if you don't take that first step, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's really just trusting your gut. I think a lot of life is trusting your gut and just knowing, even in hair or in other jobs, you feel like, okay, I feel like I know what formula to use.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this is right, but someone's telling you to do it, so you just got to do it. And if something isn't right from it, then you learn from that and you build upon it. That's all life is. You make choices. They could be the right one. They could be the bad one. You'll learn from it.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Of course.
I say we call it there.
Yeah.
All right,
I think
peace.
that's good.
Yeah. Cool.
Of course.
That's cool.